Check out my melody.
Check.
I heard it on the stream too. Yep.
Are we ready to go? Buddy?
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episodes 3 and 4 of season 1 of Bodies. I was watching 3 and 4 and I am sitting there and I am texting Jeff as fast as everything I predicted comes true. I felt really good. And then of course I got one or two things right, and after that I went, What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it all fell apart.
Holy cow. Do you want to start with your recap?
Or sure.
No, I don't know if it fell apart.
Fell apart or came together, one of the two. Yeah, okay. So episode 3.
Yep. I actually have it right. Episodes 3.
Yes, 3 and 4.
Amazing.
Okay, we start in 1890, where Polly Detective Hillinghead's daughter is playing piano in church. After the family leaves, we see Ash is waiting in the street where Hillinghead meets him, and they set off to investigate the crime scene on Long Harvest Lane. It's here they find an imprint of a cane in the dirt. Hillinghead says there's only one cane maker for high society in this end of town. They go to that cane maker, where Hillinghead gives a fake name and performs a mason's handshake to get information from the cane maker. They find the address of Sir Julian Harker and see him outside his house, and the audience sees that this is actually Commander Mannix. Or a doppelganger.
Well, keep going.
Which is like, yeah.
The Deutsche Particle is coming up soon. Sorry.
Then we go back to 2023 and we see Hassan in a debrief headed by Barber. She questions him about the record that was playing in the camper and is blown off. She gets a security detail at her house after mentioning her son was threatened. Heading home, we see the security detail. Hassan has a conversation with her dad, and we next see her wake up next to her son with the Mario theme playing in the distance. She gets up to investigate and finds Elias. What?
It was the Mario theme?
100%. It was Mario 64 playing on a Nintendo Switch.
I didn't notice that. I'm a failure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't own a Switch. Okay, continue.
So she gets up to investigate and finds Elias in her house, who they have an interaction, and he's claiming he's innocent to the murder and that he will be forced to confess to the murder.
Yeah.
Then we next go to 2053, where Gabriel Defoe and Detective Maplewood go to see the body. We see Gabriel is missing the tattoo, but has the head wound that the body has. As Gabriel approaches the body, it dies.
Okay, I just want to point out two quick things that happened in that scene that I thought were significant. One, he recognizes himself and he's not overly surprised. Two, he touches his forehead when he sees the eye wound. And 3, he looks at his wrist, but the look at the wrist is like, what number am I? Anyway, sorry. Anyway.
Interesting.
Okay. Oh, never mind. Continue with the recap.
We're in recap mode first. We'll discuss later.
All right. I'll be quiet.
Now in 1941, Esther, the little girl who saw Detective Whiteman place the body in his car in Long Harvest Lane, is being questioned. Speaking in Yiddish, which only Whiteman can understand, she makes a deal with Whiteman to not turn him in if he pays her £10. He agrees and gets her out to the street where a public phone rings. Whiteman answers it, and it's the Know You Are Loved lady who tells him to kill Esther. This is the same lady that had told him to get rid of the body.
Yeah.
Once again, in 1890, we see Ash and Hillinghead discussing Harker and the seances he holds with his mother for powerful investors. Someone knocks at the door and hands Ash an invitation for Hillinghead to attend that night's seance. In 2023, Elias is being interrogated and forced by his lawyer to confess to the bomb in the campground and the killing of the body in Long Harvest Lane. Barber wants to accept this confession and close the case. We go to 1941. Whiteman takes Esther out of town to kill her. They are followed. He loses the tail, and Esther finds chloroform. They have a struggle. Whiteman knocks her out, and then we see Whiteman dig a hole and put Esther in it and presumably shoot Esther. In 2023, there's a short scene where Hassan is able to get Elias's lawyer and Barbara out of the room, leaving her and Elias. She finds out it was the Morleys who took the pictures of her. We flip back to 1890, and Hillinghead is at the seance. He meets Sir Julian Harker, who we know as Mannix, and is able to get a decanter with Harker's fingerprints on it. Unfortunately, he was drugged in the process after accepting a drink from Harker, but doesn't feel any effects until the seance has begun, where he asks the spirit of the body some questions. We go back and forth here between 2053 and 1890. Detective Maplewood is asking Defoe about the body and if he knows anything about Chapel Perilous. He denies knowing anything. During the seance, Hillinghead is asking the spirit of the body who killed him, and the spirit begins to write M.A., which we all assume is going to spell out Mannix, which is interesting because he had asked if Julian Harker was his killer, and the answer was no. But that's because it's Mannix, which is the same person, I'm guessing. But anyways, Hillinghead falls in and out of consciousness as the drugs take hold, and we see Harker take him, undress him, and have Ladbrokes take photos of him with another man. The decanter is also taken from him. 2023, Hassan continues to question Elias underneath the table in the interrogation room and finds out that the body has shown up multiple times before. 1941, Whiteman is at home and receives a call from the Know You Are Loved lady. He informs her that Esther is dead, and after hanging up the phone, we see that Esther is in fact not dead and that Whiteman took her home.
I may have jumped when she popped out from the couch.
Oh, there's a lot of great stuff there. Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff there. We're in 1890, and Hillinghead wakes up in a cemetery and goes to Ash's place, informing him that Harker took the decanter with the fingerprints. He falls asleep with Ash, and when they wake up, we see them kiss and begin to undress. 2053, Detective Maplewood comes home to find Commander Mannix in her place, where he explains that the body is Defoe from the future. Then we go to 1890. Hillinghead leaves Ash's place. 2023, Elias is taken in a police van. Hassan and Hillinghead go to Long Harvest Lane, and Hillinghead carves the tattoo image and his name in the bricks at the same time that Hassan finds it, which was a really cool way to end episode 3.
And I was right.
Yes. So this is the first time, I think,
Are we going to do Are we just going to do episode 3? Then we'll do the recap for episode 4. I think that might be the way to do this. Or do you want to do the episode 4 recap as well?
Yeah, I'll do the episode 4 recap. Okay, episode 4. We start in 2023. Hassan is showing Barbara the carvings in the bricks on Long Harvest Lane. So that's a nice quick jump right into the same thing. Hassan then researches the name Hillinghead, because that was the name on the brick, with her coworker, and they find out that he was a detective. She heads to the archives and finds a file containing the newspaper article that Ash had wrote, as well as details of Hillinghead's case on the body. This reminds Clive, the archivist.
His last case.
Yes, that's Whiteman's last case.
Yes,
which I picked up on as well. So he brings out Whiteman's case for Hassan to see, and so now she's got both these cases of this body. And then we jump to 1890. Hillinghead is drinking in a bar. Ash shows up and they discuss their next moves for the investigation. Hillinghead says it's over and heads home. He has a conversation with his wife about where he was last night and fixes his daughter Polly's locket containing a picture of their family. We go to 1941, where Whiteman is at work. He has a conversation with Kathleen, the receptionist, about how a witness came forward who heard 2 voices from Lee Cousins' apartment, the man Whiteman framed for the murder of the body in Long Harvest Lane. Whiteman heads home to find Esther with the radio on and dancing in the window. He sees a man outside watching the apartment. Whiteman has a train ticket for Esther to go to Scotland. Then we go to 2053, where Gabriel Defoe is teaching a class about the Deutsch particle.
The Deutsche Particle!
Thank you. Which allows for time travel. Maplewood is there, and she questions him on the paper that he wrote that was banned on time travel. Next, we see them sharing a drink, and Defoe again claims ignorance to building a time machine or knowing anything about Chapel Perilous. Maplewood, in this conversation, agrees to protect him because he's worried that Chapel Perilous is going to come kill him because he obviously saw his body dead. So they go to her place. Back in 2023, Hassan asks her coworker to run the fingerprints that she found from 1890 that Hillinghead had got, and shows Barber the files from 1890 and 1941. Barber tries to explain the similarities but cannot.
And then they're just two off-duty cops
Chewing the cud.
chewing the cud.
Yeah. We go to 1890 where Ash is developing some photos when Hillinghead shows up. They get it on and find Harker's fingerprint on Hillinghead's glasses. 2053. Detective Maplewood has taken Defoe to her place. He sees that she has a spine implant and they share a meal and some wine. We jump to 1941 and bombs start dropping in London, which allows Whiteman to take Esther to the train station, which was the original plan, but the bombs start hitting too close, so they head to an underground subway station for cover. As they're struggling to push through the crowd to get into the station, Whiteman helps an old lady through just as the gates close. Then we jump to 2023. Hassan and Barber discuss the three cases. They find Harker Legal, the firm that Elias's lawyer was from, and an address. Hassan heads there without Barber. Then we go back to 1941. The old lady that Whiteman had helped through the gates offers her shawl and some chocolate to Esther. Whiteman sees the man who was outside his apartment watching them in the subway station, and he goes to confront him. Esther asks the old lady about her locket, and we see that it has the family picture of Hillinghead. The old lady is Polly, Hillinghead's daughter. Whiteman finds the man, they fight. Whiteman gets stabbed in the stomach, but kills the man, who turns out to be a London police officer. And from there we go back to 2023. Hassan is at the address of Harker Legal. She breaks in, and we see the same picture of Sir Julian Harker that was in 1890. She finds a record player and plays it. We hear a voice talking about Iris Maplewood. Andrew Morley.
In 2053.
In 20, yeah. The voice is talking about Iris Maplewood, who is in 2053. She's in 2023, and this record is presumably from a time before that.
Yeah.
Andrew Morley walks in and finds Hassan. He speaks of Elias and what is to come, but doesn't really make any sense to Hassan, and he asks her to follow him so that he can explain everything. We go to 2053, where Defoe and Maplewood have been drinking some more. They're now on the couch discussing things like time travel and free will. Defoe goes to the bathroom. We go back to 1941. All the bombs have stopped. We get an all clear and everybody's leaving. As they're leaving, Polly meets Whiteman and says Esther is waiting for him, and then leaves and says, "No, you are loved." This obviously clues Whiteman into who she was. Whiteman rushes to Esther to find that she was poisoned from the chocolate that was given to her by Polly. We jump to 2053. Maplewood's neighbor shows up and comes over because her cat got out on the balcony, leaving the door open for Defoe to leave. Maplewood chases after him, tries to arrest Defoe, but gets tased by her neighbor. Back in 2023, Hassan is in the basement with Andrew Morley, where he shows her the three bodies, encapsulated in some Luke Skywalker tub, stand-up hot tub thing. Morley talks of Elias killing Hassan's son and then locks her in the basement. And that is the end of episode 4.
Oh my goodness!
Right? Oh man, so much happened. So much happened. Okay, because it's still on my mind and you mentioned it, I think they've done such a good job with Whiteman and his characterization. They drop little things like when he was on the phone with who we now know as Polly in the street after he was trying to get rid of Esther. Polly says to him, "Get rid of her permanently and don't act like you don't have the stomach for it. That's why we chose you." So we get this line that's telling us what type of person he is. And like we had discussed last week, he's a crooked cop. We know that,
Yeah.
but this is just like another level. Like, don't pretend like you don't have the stomach for it. To kill a child in cold blood, like that says a lot about his characterization. And then, like you said, you get this like complete 180, because they set up that he shot her in the grave there, and then she's back at his place, and like he totally redeems himself.
Does he?
Well, maybe not totally, but it was a nice 180. It was like there was this big setup for him being a total shitbag,
Yeah.
and then he does the right thing, and like it shows like he's just got more to him than
Yeah.
being just a shitty crooked cop.
Or does he only save her because she's Yiddish?
Maybe.
And then
Maybe.
the surprise of all surprise. So that shocked the bejesus out of me. And then there's the possibility he's actually going to go with her.
Yes.
Like
Yeah, exactly. Like
He's
they
had
set
an
him up as this total like horrible person.
douchebag.
Yeah. And in 4 episodes, he has like this redemption arc.
Well, is it? Yeah, but we don't know if it's a redemption arc yet because we don't know, whether he lives or not, right?
Wow, it's a pretty big redemption arc for him to go from like they set him up as this crooked cop,
Yeah.
and he's got the stomach to kill kids, and then
Yeah.
he saves her and is gonna go leave to Scotland with her.
Yeah.
She ends up dying, but so there's not much more of that. But also, like you said, his last case, right? So as soon as they said that, I was like, oh man, something's gonna happen to him. Either he's gonna die, and then they set up this idea of him going to Scotland, and it's like, oh well, maybe that's why it was his last case, because he disappears to Scotland with,
Or maybe he
with
just
Jessica.
dies.
Or maybe he just dies. He still
Okay.
could. He got stabbed in the stomach.
Did you do the math
I
for
did,
Polly? What's the 18? What's the 18?
yeah.
date?
So in 1890,
So it's
She's-
1890 and it's 41. So she's 51. So it's believable she's still alive. I'm still
100%.
trying to.
But that's if she was 0, right?
Okay, so
1890, she's
Polly
not.
would have been. She would have been a young woman. So let's say 16.
Right.
So she's 51, 67.
Right. It totally lines
Or-
up.
Yeah. I don't know where to. Okay, where do you want to go to from here? There's so many things I want to talk about.
I know. There was like, first of all, I love the credits, the opening scene credits. I love the song, and it's another one of those. To me, it's right there with like, I don't know if Daredevil was the first to do it, but Daredevil was. No, you know what I think was the first show to do it where I noticed it was Lost.
Oh,
There was all
really?
these shows that
Yeah.
had like there was a total time period of a certain style of opening credits, right?
Yeah.
And there's probably better examples, but I think of like growing up, we watched TGIF, right? And you
Yeah.
had shows like Full House and Home Improvement and shows like that, right? And they had this long musical introduction to the show, and you saw the characters and the credits and all that sort of stuff. And then Lost comes along, and it's like you have an opening stinger, and then boom, Lost. Just the word. It shows up and then gone, and that's it. And you're right back in the show. I mean, that's if you were watching it on like DVD, I guess. If it was on TV, you'd have commercials, but then like Daredevil has a similar thing, but it's a way more stylistic.
Yes.
I guess you do get a bunch of the credits, but I don't know. I love the intro to Daredevil, and I really like this intro.
Yes. Yes.
I really liked both these episodes. There's like overall, I just loved them both.
It's like they set us up, hey?
Yeah, totally.
And then they go, okay, you've got just enough information to start, going in there. And then it's bam, bam.
Yep, totally.
So
Totally.
yeah, where do you want to start? Like I got a billion places to start. I don't know
Sure, you
what.
start.
So the Deutsche Podcast. So I'm a wannabe quantum physicist, right? So one of the things about all this universe splitting and the particle splits into two, one of the things that happens in string theory and that is you get the creation of all these additional universes. And I should remember the phrase that he used, but they don't immediately cease to exist. So you don't end up with this problem with the conservation of matter and energy. right? They get created for this instant and then they immediately collapse again. With the Deutsche particle, they don't. And they can equally travel forward and backwards.
Okay, does that mean
That what happens in 2023 is the forward and the backward? I don't know. What does it mean?
no? But if there's an equal forward and backward,
Yeah.
then we would have if he travels, right? Because they mention that Mannix says to Maplewood when he's in her apartment that the body is Defoe a couple days from now,
Yes.
right? Based on the age of like the scar on his head, the wound on his head,
Yes.
right? So that means if he's traveling from a point that's a couple days ahead in 2053 and he goes both forward and backwards at the same time, that would mean that a 2023, a 1941, and a 1890, that's 3 in the past. There should be 3 in the future then.
Not necessarily.
No?
What happened is if the explosion in 2023 pushes them forward, pushes them back.
Okay.
Or
Do you
there's
think
a
that the explosion
there's
has
a-
to do with the time travel?
well, what we know from the little bit that we got was when the Deutsche particle gets created, it splits an existence into two identical particles that travel in time, that can travel in time forward and backwards. And traveling forward and backwards in time is equally likely. I got to watch that scene again.
Yeah,
So
I'd have to watch it again to see if he says that it travels both forward and backward, or it's both forward or backward.
oh, yeah. So that's a good thing. Could you make a note of that?
Maybe he's just explaining that they can go both directions.
Yes, but how you
Not
phrase
necessarily simultaneously, but
well, it's simultaneously.
or.
I think it's simultaneously because when the particle's created, it creates these two Deutsche particles. One is, and you can the illustration basically looks like mitosis or something, but which is unrelated. So we'll get some more info on that. But the neighbor next door,
Oh man, what a setup!
and then I'm going, why is he running away? Why is he running away?
That I kind of felt like it was coming.
Why
But
is he?
He did such a good job. Like when you stop me in the recap and you're talking about him looking at the body, I think that he put it all on.
He put it all together?
No, he put it. It was an act.
Oh, okay. But maybe he didn't know at the time that he was successful and that in a few days he would be.
Right.
Now, the other
Right.
thing that seems to be implied is that there are two agencies with time travel capabilities.
Right. It's Mannix and Chapel Perilous.
And Chapel Perilous, man, that name is, I mean, what does, like, I think that has some sort of significance.
It
The name.
might, because Whitechapel has come up a number of times.
Well, yeah, but Whitechapel comes up in Sherlock Holmes and everything all the time.
Yeah,
But it's a common thing.
right. But is it a? It's a place in London, I assume.
Whitechapel?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Whitechapel murders? The Boston
Okay, so-
Strangler? Did you go to school?
Okay, so it's a district in London. Okay,
Yes.
perfect. So, and
I shouldn't be this way, because you know tons of things that I don't. Feel
okay,
free to.
no, see, Whitechapel, Chapel Perilous. Perilous is an adjective full of or involving peril, dangerous or risky. Chapel Perilous, the name might come from the bomb. They probably bomb Whitechapel.
Maybe it's not a bomb.
I don't know. There's an explosion and thousands of people die.
Or do they?
Okay,
I'm
going
gonna-
back to my question.
I'm going to posit that it's not a bomb. Is that it's a quantum experiment that occurs. It's not like a
Right.
bomb with terrorists making something and exploding and destroying parts of London. It's a quantum physics experiment that goes sideways and produces the Deutsche particle.
Or maybe it's the discovery of the Deutsche particle.
Yeah, it would be the
Maybe
same
it's
thing.
like a CERN experiment. They're
Except
colliding
it's
particles and they find.
except it wouldn't be in Whitechapel then. It would be where CERN is.
Right, that's fair. Unless they have their own CERN.
No, they don't, because they don't have they don't have uh, the geology to support a ring that size in London, because of it would take it. You know, the CERN accelerator is like 26 miles across or something.
I know.
Are you baiting me right now?
Okay, so
I'm gonna force you to take physics and math again.
uh, so
We have to rewatch that part about the particle, which I really liked.
yeah. So my question to you is: do you think that the explosion they're referring to is part of the time travel, or is it completely
Yes.
separate?
I think that
it's
the
part of the time
explosion
travel?
is part of the time travel and may actually be the unknown discovery of the Deutsche particle.
Okay,
I
that's a
think,
cool thought.
and I think that that's, you know, part of what's going on. And then, so that there's obviously one. I'm really excited about the fact that they are working in modern quantum physics and everything. Because one of my complaints until I knew more about quantum mechanics is a lot of things are solved by simply, well, it just splits into another universe and another. You know, I'm going, well, how do you do that? Like, where's the conservation of energy and matter? Like, you can't just keep creating it, you know. But they spontaneously collapse, so it's an event that doesn't actually occur in time per se, I guess. And so you don't have to worry about it because, you know, it collapses and destroys on itself, so the net result is zero. But there is now what they're saying is that there is a particle that one particle can split into two, or that's the implication is two because we only saw two on the screen, right? So I think I put this down for, we have to get our predictions crawl growing across here.
That's true. Yeah.
So I was right about the. What's really funny is the guy from 1890 is the first guy to try and put things forward into the future.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. Was that is the first time, as far as I know, the first instance of cross detective time.
This is
melding.
nanu, and you better be careful because that's, you know, when they do this, that means they're doing something, right? Don't you know? You don't know Mork? Oh, good lord!
No.
Put it on the list. Mork for Mork.
Okay. Oh, you've mentioned that before. I didn't ever look into it.
One of Robin Williams show. It's the reason you have 4 cameras on sitcoms now. Sitcoms were originally only shot with. This is a digression. Feel free to get a coffee or something. Sitcoms were originally only shot with like a standard 3 camera shoot.
Okay.
For Mork for Mork, Robin Williams just wouldn't hit his marks. He would improv there extravagantly and go all over the place. And the camera guys went, I can't follow this guy. I can't get my shots. I mean, you know, so the solution was a 4th camera. And that 4th camera just stayed on Robin wherever he went.
Okay.
They were all union guys, and they all refused.
Of course.
Of course. Anyway, look up, you know, nanu.
Okay.
Robin Williams. Okay, but time travel. So they've obviously thought a lot more about it. Quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement is a huge thing right now in the world of physics and quantum computing and faster than light communications. All of those things to solve some problems in that. So I'll be very curious to see what they do with that. I was thinking about him carving that into the bricks.
Okay.
Why does he do that?
Yeah, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of an explanation as to why he does it. And I didn't love how Hassan found it. She kind of walks up and sees it right away. I would it would have taken just a little bit of her like sniffing around, looking at different things instead of just like walking right to it and seeing it.
So, maybe it's Back to the Future, and it didn't appear until he did it, and it wasn't there the first time they looked there.
Maybe.
Well, you mean you had that long dissertation last time about what type of time travel is it? Is it going to be Back to the Future, or is it going to be, what was the other example you gave? Avengers, right? But maybe it didn't exist the first time she was there, and it only existed.
But even still, if it didn't exist and then did exist, she still wouldn't know to look there.
But she went and looked there earlier. She looked in that area before. Right? So she goes back in and goes, I would have noticed those markings.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see.
Like, I mean, that's what I think happened. It's interesting that you're more concerned about her spotting them right away, and I'm more concerned about him putting it, like, what's his motive? Like, why does he do that?
I don't know. One thing I did really like about that episode is his reaction to getting drugged.
Yeah.
Was great.
Yeah.
Like, so often you see somebody like get drugged and then when they wake up, they're totally fine. Not only from a physical standpoint, but like a mental standpoint. They're just like, oh, well, I guess I got drugged. But here we see not only physically is he wrecked, but also mentally he feels completely violated. And we see that in his acting, which was great.
Yeah, and it carries through.
Yeah.
Right. So he knows the jig is up. He knows that he has them, that he can't do anything or he'll be revealed. Right?
There's that too. Yes, he knows he's been blackmailed.
Now, the other question is the body that he was posing with, is that a dead body?
I don't know. I didn't see it moving. I actually would like to know if it was another Gabriel Defoe.
Did they sneak one in on us?
Maybe.
There's got to be somebody out there who's tracking all this shit for us. I mean, holy cow.
We're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. So,
I also really liked the acting from Elias in the interrogation room.
Yeah.
Like, just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Like, it was believable. Right?
He's a tortured soul.
Total tortured soul from like so many different angles. And he sold it. He completely sold it.
And, you know, I'm going, why is she, like, I figured out why she went under the table. She's obviously done it before, though.
Yes.
Like, she's done this before, and the you know, because the chief inspector,
Barber.
Yeah, he makes that comment. Just so many things, and then so.
Buy a vowel.
I can't buy a vowel. I blew my spin on everything. So I think that episode was really good. And then we get episode 4, which is like, what? We get another story with a bunch of revelations. So if you remember, I talked about how each of the characters has a vice or a flaw.
Yep.
So, you know, at Hillingshead, we get the Hillingshead, you know, vice, homosexuality in that time period. He gets drugged. It's going to be used against him.
Yeah.
Right. We then go to 41. So is Polly the voice on the phone, or is there another woman? First of all, before I go on.
No, I think Polly's the voice on the woman.
Okay.
Polly is the voice on the phone. Yeah.
So she figures it out and she gets brought in to the cabal.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Right? And then we get his redemption when he doesn't kill the girl. So the second part of that is the person following them is a man.
Yep.
It's not Polly. And in theory, he goes and kills the man.
Yes.
So we don't know if we don't know what side Polly's on. We don't know
No.
what side the man's on.
No, we don't. We can only make assumptions.
We also
And-
don't know if they allow for the changing of history.
Right, which is exactly why I love time travel movies and shows,
Yeah.
because it's this whole concept, right? And Defoe touches on it with free will, right? Is everything predetermined, or
Yep.
can you change the future? Or
Predestination or, free will.
right, and really what it comes down to is the creator's interpretation, because we obviously can't time travel, and so that question can't be answered. But it's so cool to me to see people's interpretation of that question, right? When you have stuff like Back to the Future, right? He goes back, he can change the future. So the things you do in the past will affect the future, right?
Yep.
So that's that whole concept. And the Avengers has a different twist on it, where there is no changing the present or the future, because when you jump through time, you're creating a different separate universe,
A multiverse.
a multiverse. So that's a cool concept as well. And then you have this, which posits that you cannot change.
I don't think they do that. I think they have to follow the record. The reason they have the recordings is so that people know what to do.
Totally. And I think that by...
Can I just finish the thought?
Yeah.
So I think there's also the concept of time that relies on the concept of nexus points.
Right.
So certain things can't be changed, but certain nexus points, if you change a nexus point, the future changes.
Right.
And I think
Fixed
that's...
point. Yeah.
So I think that's a significant point, and otherwise you wouldn't need the recordings. Like,
Yeah.
Why do you need the recordings? Because you need this person to go to set this up. Why does Hassan have to be captured and then locked into a place? Like, and he keeps talking about how you'll come around, you'll know, right? Like,
Yeah.
so she has to be locked up. Sounds like she's going to discover information and things in there.
Which I can't wait to figure that out too, because they keep setting this up for, you're going to make Elias make this bomb or set this bomb off or whatever. And it's like, how do you get to there? How do you go from where she's at now to this point where she's forcing Elias's hand to make this bomb explode?
And how did they get the bodies there?
Into Long Harvest Lane? Oh no, in the basement. Yeah.
So you posited the concept of multiple forward, multiple back.
Right.
We've seen 3 bodies.
Yep.
That are the bodies that the detectives have. And we've now seen 3 bodies in...
Which means they have the 1890, they have the 1941, and they must have stolen recently the 2023.
Or there's 6 bodies in total.
Or there's more bodies. Because the 2023 body would have been at the police station or in the police station morgue or whatever.
Nobody's claimed it.
Right. But somehow Morley has it in this basement.
Or it's a different body.
Or it's
Maybe
a different body.
Maybe what it is, here's another theory is there's also the concept of when you time travel and you see your own self, you can't go to your same self because it produces an annihilation event. So maybe
time cop.
Yeah. So maybe what they have to do is they're going to bring all the bodies together, and that's what the bomb is.
Okay.
Because they're all, they all suffer from a temporal distortion.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
There's also the, is it a Voyager? It's a Voyager episode where they have a time ship, and it has the ability to change events, and then they can play it forward and see what the result is. And what it is,
Okay.
so they're trying to maximize that one civilization is trying to maximize themselves going forward or backwards because they're losing the war that they're having with
Right.
another race, and their ultimate weapon is this time ship which exists out of time, and then they make an incursion. They call it an incursion in time. They change an event, and then they observe the future, what happens with it, because they can't predict it. And
Right.
in the Voyager thing, Voyager is the anomaly that travels all the way through their sector with all of these spin-off effects, including the what happens to this race.
Hmm.
You know,
Cool.
so it's they make an incursion, they change one single thing, butterfly effect, and then
Yeah.
they see the spin-off of it. So there is only one timeline.
We'll see. Because, okay, on that like thought process though, whether or not you can change or cannot change, if you couldn't change, you okay, they have to be able to change things
Why?
because Mannix goes back in time to 1890 and he has these seances with these powerful investors and he's making predictions about the future and future investments and he's getting them right.
Yeah.
So it was also mentioned that he shows up as the son of this lady and it's not actually her son.
Yeah.
And she has all of the paintings changed to look like him. So
Yeah.
that means that there was a change. He is changing things.
Or there always was a change.
Or they're always right. It's the time loop problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Part of the problem with time travel discussions is that we think very binary about them.
Yeah.
So, and maybe there is one timeline, maybe there is multiple timelines, but they're all stacked, like time is stacked on one another. So
Okay.
all the events that occur in time are happening at the same time.
And it's a Schrodinger thing where it's not until you make a decision that one of those timelines.
Well, that's the assignment bureau.
yeah.
Have you right? But what I'm saying is that every event that occurs happens, and that's not, I don't know what it is.
That
the
would be a
event that-
multiverse theory.
No, because there is only one universe.
With multiple
So-
timelines.
Not multiple timelines. All the events of a time occur at the same moment.
Oh. Yes. Okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm doing a bad job of it. And I'm sure that people who, if there was any physicist listening to this, he would be, 87 million paragraphs in the chat going, "No, you are wrong. The Deutsche Particle solves everything. The Deutsche Particle." Sorry. Yeah. So I like, again, we are in another episode. So if you go back to our discussion on Wheel of Time, we both loved the acting that was involved in Egwene's torture scene and having
Yes.
she's being tortured by magic. There is nothing there to relate to. It's a phenomenal thing. And then we get Elias just doing amazing things. Elias and
Yeah.
Hassan, I'm wondering, part of me goes, that scene is not as great as it is without both of them being able to deliver great. Like
Yeah,
Hassan,
Totally.
so I think that's really good.
Like, I just imagine standing there as like the director and trying to direct Elias and being like, okay, you're gonna stand up, you're gonna walk away from the table, and then you're gonna giggle at this idea that this detective is now under the table. But you have to giggle in such a way that's like believable and not goofy, but a little bit tortured, and he nails all of it.
yeah.
And like
I would have loved to have seen what the blocking instructions were. Walk
Yeah.
away from the, So, yeah, I think that there's some interesting. I wonder if there's anything on X-ray. Does Netflix have an X-ray function? Like,
no, not that I'm aware of.
okay,
But then, yeah, he gets under the table and he's like instantly disturbed again. And he's like, He's on the verge of crying, talking about Syed, and just that like flip.
Yeah.
He's like all over the map in that scene. He crushed it.
Well, yeah, he crushed it, and I think they had to do it. Like I think that was shot in the various emotional states he needed to be in, and then in post they edited it together. So
Oh, you think so?
I think all of the, well, unless he's like even a, like the two of them are even a better actor and actress combination, because flipping that switch, I mean maybe it'd be a great question to ask them, right?
Yeah.
Like, was it shot? You know, it's obviously from different takes, but did they do the whole scene to get the flips, or did
Right.
they do all of the mental anguish stuff? Like, okay, with the mental anguish stuff, okay, now you're under the table. You're going to go under the table and you're going to be, you know, like just to stay in the moment of being in the total mental anguish part. So I don't know, but it's good. The filming of it as well. Like there's sort of a real film look to the show.
Yes.
And I don't know what is, I have to take a closer look at the technical details of it to see what's,
I'd say it's a perfect example of like what I was talking about with Wheel of Time in terms of the color grading. Like the color grading in this seems way more cinematic.
Yeah. Unless it's shot on film. The Brits still shoot a lot of stuff on film. Like it might be on 16 mil, which would be worth looking up. For those of you that would like a sidebar set of trivia, Kodak has re-released the 8mm camera. You can put your name on the film camera, 8mm film camera. I think it's like $5K US. It has because of the demand. It's been in development now for, I want to say 3 to 5 years. So that's your sidebar thing. But so we got that great scene underneath the table, right? Yep. And then what happens? Like there's part of that discussion where I think that that's at the table and I go, oh no, Elias is chewing through his own tongue. Like he's gonna do what his mom did, but he doesn't. Like he sort of has the same facial expressions as what she had before she bit through her tongue.
Yeah.
Then he steps away and giggles. They go under the table. They have the discussion. You know, it's crazy. The other thing is that when the two of them from 2023 go to the bar to just chew the cud.
Yeah.
If I took you, like we go to, you know, some pizza place and I go, Jeff, check this out. And check this out. Like, like they obviously have a deep relationship between the two of them to be able to trust that. Like if I brought it to you, you would think I'm pulling some sort of, you know, mystery kind of thing, right? You know,
she does, right? It was like Sean says, this is going to sound like this has to be off the record because otherwise they're going to send me to the funny farm. Like, she knows how crazy this sounds.
Yes.
And then she presents it to him and he's like, well, I mean, are you pulling my leg here? Like, come on, seriously. He's like, well, this is obviously photoshopped. He's like, this is obviously easily explainable. And she's like, great, I'm all ears. Go ahead. Explain it easily. And then he can't. And I think it was a really well done scene in terms of you don't have this prolonged scene over multiple episodes or even over the episode itself of trying to convince him. Right? Like that at some point that gets annoying as a audience.
Yeah.
And there's a really good there's a fine line between like he can't accept it right away because like you said that's not believable.
Yeah.
But he also can't fight it for too long either. Because there's annoyance on either end of that. And I think they did a really good job of finding the balance right in the middle.
Yeah.
It might be a little bit too quick, but when you're looking at 8 episodes, you can't spend too much time on it.
Yeah. The other thing that this brings out is now we see, so we have the primary character in each time zone.
Yep.
We have an interaction with the Mannix, what I'm going to call the Mannix, the Mannix consortium or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like the Mannix travel team. But we also see, we start to see that the other people may be there, may be involved.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yeah.
So in 2023, we've got, we need to find out what side the chief inspector Barber is.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. If he's in on it.
Okay. In 2053, we know Mannix is in on it.
Yeah.
We now know that her neighbor is in on it.
Yeah. She's Chapel Perilous.
So is that the first example of Chapel Perilous? And is he Chapel and is the body?
Defoe?
Yeah, is he?
I think he is. Yeah.
So
Yeah, he
Chapel
makes a comment right there after he gets tackled.
Okay, so in 2053, the only other person she has is her brother.
Yeah.
So we don't know where he is. Okay, we're back now in 1890. We know his daughter. We know his daughter gets involved with it. Pulled in, right? We think that Ash might be on the others. Maybe it's a honey trap. Maybe Ash was a honey trap all the long time for Hilling's Head.
See, and I even wrote down you can't trust anybody, but I didn't even think about all these characters because once I saw that Maplewood's neighbor was Chapel Perilous, I was like, holy cow, you can't trust anybody because she seemed like such a nobody character and then turns out to be part of Chapel Perilous.
You know who she reminded me of?
Who?
You know the movie Red?
Yeah.
John Malkovich, Bruce Willis, right?
Yeah.
They come out of the airport or someplace, right? And Malkovich grabs that slightly heavy-set lady, pins her up against the wall. You're one of them. You're following us. I know. Empties her purse, right? And no, and Willis and what's her name? Deborah Winger? No.
Yeah, because he's so paranoid.
And they said, sorry, lady, da 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 da. And 5 minutes later, she's got the RPG lining it up.
Yeah, so good.
Is it going to be one of those things? I don't know.
Probably, yeah. Now that you mention it, man. Oh man. It's totally throwing for a loop for all of them.
Aren't they all? So maybe they all are nexus points. Because you hear Mannix sort of say that, like in the 1890 version, you hear him sort of talk about that briefly with him.
Yes.
The seance thing, though, let's just carry on with that. So is the seance for real? Does Mannix control all those people?
I'm going to assume that the seance was not real. But if that's the case, then she was voluntarily writing out Mannix.
Or the priest was, right? It's the other one the one that's reading the letters is the priest, right?
Right. But his mother, Miss Harker, was the one who's writing them.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then she knows that her son isn't her son.
Yeah. So she's been bought.
She's probably been bought, but then why would she reveal that to Hillinghead?
Because she knows Hillinghead's going to die. So it doesn't matter. It's further.
Potentially, yeah.
Right? The other thing is, all of these people have to be in it for something. They have to be promised something.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is crazy because, like,
I have to find there's a study out there where more than 12 people can't keep a secret regardless of what it is. I have to find the study. But if it's a secret and more than 12 people know it, then then everybody can know it. It's some, voodoo, Baynes theorem, algorithm, bullshit, AGI, CGA, Anyway, so they all have to be bought somehow. Like what do the Marleys get out of this?
Yeah, exactly, right? Because it's like a promise of a better tomorrow that you're never going to see.
Or unless you do get to see it, or
Through time
something.
travel? Like
I
he's
don't
pulling
know.
them to the future?
And then at the same time, however they get to you, they so completely brainwash you or whatever it is that happens to you that you're willing to bite out your own tongue or shoot yourself rather than tell them anything significant.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I really hope they cover that.
well, they've got to, right? They've
How
set
much-
it up so many times, right?
Yeah, how they have so much power over these people.
You know, or how much the people, this is like a fanatical kind of thing.
Totally.
it's
That's how
like-
it comes across, especially with the Morleys.
Yeah. Like, so that's really good. You need to watch the British version of Utopia. That's the other thing that this reminds me of. And I think it's because of, as you mentioned it, the color grading in it, the film look in it. And yeah, you seriously need to watch the British version of Utopia. I wish there were more seasons.
Speaking of
Anyway.
which, I can't wait for season 2 to end and then us never figure out anything else.
Of what? Of this?
Of bodies, yeah, I'm already sad about it. But like you said, there's a book, so I'll read the book.
I think there's a book. Who knows what?
It's a DC title.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wonder if James Gunn has a hand in this.
No.
Would this fall under his?
No.
It should, technically. It's DC.
You have homework. I don't have
Which
time for
means
all
it's
this.
Probably gonna get canceled. Well,
Yeah, it's on Netflix. You know what I want to start up? I want to start up a streaming service that takes all the programs that Netflix cancels.
oh man, you'd make $1 million easy.
Million?
Billion.
Billion. Yeah. You could call it Netfail. Or something. I don't know, but when you net fails, when you cancel something, it'll come,
Yeah, and
Okay.
we'll find up and coming creators who wanna make stuff.
No,
We'll be
but
like,
we
"All
don't.
right."
We don't need to find anybody. We just pick up
Oh, no.
we pick up the series that they canceled that's already been successful.
Yeah, but who's gonna make season 3?
Of
We'll call it
Bodies.
season 3.
Of Bodies.
Yeah.
Are there 2 seasons of Bodies?
No, I'm saying after these, like Cowboy Bebop got canceled, right?
Yeah.
Who's like you can still watch it, but who's like I want to see the next season.
Yeah, but you just hire the production crew. Netflix doesn't have a production crew doing this. You just hire the production crew to make it.
Okay. Yeah.
Netflix just bought the idea. They didn't buy the
Right.
crew that put it together. It's like I would have Warrior Nun for sure. Absolutely. Cowboy Bebop. Okay. What else did they cancel?
Bodies.
Bodies. They haven't canceled it yet. Can't buy a property before it's canceled. That's not what our business model is. I mean, you got to think that somebody out there has thought of this business model, right? And
Well-
it's gone to Netflix. We want to buy the IP once you don't, like what happens to the
But what-
IP?
Yeah. Why wouldn't Netflix just hold on to it and be like, no, we're not going to sell it to you? Like I don't know the economics behind this industry well enough to figure out like
Well, I don't think Netflix does either. Because
no, clearly they don't.
Like, give me a frickin' break. Deutsche Particle! Back on track. Sorry, that was your secondary digression for the day. What else you got for me?
That's about it. Like I said, I was too drawn in to these episodes to really write anything down. Everything was great.
So, I want to point out one more thing for when you watch episodes 5 and 6.
Okay, have you watched them?
No,
Okay.
because I enjoyed 3 and 4 so much. Like, I sat down with the big supper and I got it up on the screen and got the cat sitting in the lap. Like it's great. Do it early in the. What I want you to notice is the non-dialogue audio, the background sound, even when they're talking.
Okay.
And so I'm not saying that there's specific sounds or things in it. I just think that the background audio, that you're in that, you're in that 1941 police station with the stairs going up and the traffic going around. And then you're in 2053 in the silent, sanitized universe. And then you're in right? Like we got the grimy picture of coal smoke going up a little bit, finally in the 1890s episode, right? The compressed lanes and that sort of thing. In particular, the sound effects that they did when he gets drugged were really good as well. The background sounds and noises and all that.
Yes, and there was a really great shot that really stuck out to me, and I don't know why. I thought it was just so well done, but it was the smallest thing ever. When he wakes up in the cemetery,
yes,
there's a quick, like such a quick little shot of like the hazy vision.
Yeah.
But it's so short, and it reminded me of like I thought it was so good because it honestly reminded me of like waking up after a night of drinking.
So basically last Saturday.
and you have that moment where you open your eyes and you look and the room's still spinning, but it's quick because you close your eyes again and you regain your bearings. But you see it a lot in shows and movies and stuff where they overdo it.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, he's drunk or he's woozy. Let's give you woozy vision for like 3 minutes. It's like, that's not how it feels when it's actually you. When it's actually you, it's this quick thing and you're trying to regain your bearings and that gets all fuzzed out, but then you're back here and I don't know. I thought they nailed it.
Hey, do you want the bad news about that?
Okay.
2 words. It's something you hate.
Shaky cam?
Shaky cam.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. What else did I want to mention? I am loving, in fact, now I want more of these slow transitions or 2 timelines at the same time thing. There was one, I'm going to have to start pulling, if I have to start pulling clips, I'm going to lose my life, but there was one in particular that was just so achingly perfect. Like, where
I think I know which one you're talking about.
It's this one, and then all of a sudden, and the way the camera and it's like.
I think it's the one where during the seance, he's asking the spirit the questions, and then you have the cut in of 2053 where Maplewood's also asking him the same questions or similar questions, and he's answering.
That's not the one, but that's another one.
It's so good because he's asking the spirit of the body, which is Gabriel Defoe, these questions, and then you have Gabriel Defoe, the live one, answering the questions.
You just spun off a whole nother time travel thing. So if time all occurs simultaneously.
Simultaneously, yeah.
I'm just wondering if that, that answer, right, has to occur. Like he has to answer that question, and he maybe didn't answer it directly in that timeline, in the 1890s timeline, but he does answer the question directly in the 2053 timeline.
Okay.
I don't know. I need more of the physics with it because I love that too. I would say that was my biggest thing that I loved. Is it's sort of woven in with some of the the quantum mechanics of today and singularities and quantum entanglement. I think that made me super happy that it's not just hand wavy. Ah!
Yeah.
So that I think that was good. We got we got story arc in all of them, like character development.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch, 5 and 6.
Yeah, me too. That's exactly what I thought after 4. I was like, oh man, I want to watch the next one right now.
It's so good. Any closing thoughts?
That is my closing thought. I want to go watch more.
I want to go watch more. You've been listening to the Armchair Cinephiles Bodies Season 1, Episodes 3 and 4, brought to you by Figurative Speaking Minis. Apparently, in the future, Courtney has been contracted to paint the bodies, but I can't tell you that now because I'm in the past. Be well. Know you are loved. No, seriously. Know you are loved.